Welcome back everyone to Western Cyprus and our derelict property makeover. Well, we were hoping to save these perimeter walls and hoping that they may need just a small amount of remedial work, but on closer inspection they have been deemed far too dangerous. The mud and straw that bind them together is absolutely saturated and the walls are leaning at around 15 degrees. So because there is between 7 and 8 tons of sandstone, some of them enormous boulders in this wall, it really must come down, a new concrete footing poured and then rebuilt with modern mortar to make this courtyard safe. So I would imagine, because it's just held together with the mud and straw, I will be able to take it down piece by piece with manual tools. So without further ado, let's crack on. This will set us back with regards of time and possibly several thousand euros. But at the end of the day, this courtyard must be 100% safe. It just takes a gentle tap to release these stones. As I say, some of them are extremely heavy. The saving grace is that each and every one of these stones will feature in the new wall. I have to be careful not to bury these wonderful stones. As I said before, all of these rocks would have been transported here with a donkey and cart. So you really have to hand it to those early builders. Well, that's around 2 feet off the top of this perimeter wall, with approximately 6 feet left intact. And although it's coming apart relatively easily, hauling these mighty rocks from one side of the garden to the other really does sap your strength until you are running on empty. So, time for a cup of tea. There are many derelict village properties here in Cyprus. The house next door, for instance, has been empty for several decades, I would imagine, and is in need of a little love and restoration. So if you fancy taking on a project like this, then do explore the mountain villages of Cyprus. You do have to have your wits about you with these huge tumbling rocks. I've already removed a couple of ton, I would imagine, from this wall, just with this small piece of reinforcing bar and my trusty hammer. Yes, I could use a machine to break these rocks, but I value the peace and tranquility of the village of Drusha. Okay, later on we will need to employ big machines, but for now, let's keep the noise down. Having lived and worked in the City of London for the majority of my life, it is a breath of fresh air coming to these villages. At times you can hear a pin drop, and I love those church bells on a Sunday morning accompanied by a crowing cockerel or two. This is rather a big rock. Those early builders must have been made of iron to haul these rocks all day. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you are undertaking a project of this magnitude, it is important that you do not look at the big picture. Just concentrate on the stones in front of you. Nibble away, and at the end of the day or at the end of the week you will achieve your goal without a doubt. Slow and steady wins the race. And having overindulged a tad over Christmas like so many, this really is the perfect workout to shred those pounds of fat that have crept on with those glasses of port, the cheese, the turkey, and of course those chocolates. That is my weakness. Do let me know in the comments if you are undertaking a similar project as this dilapidated courtyard and village house, or maybe if you have any advice, I'd be more than happy to hear it, believe me. Important, as always, the bend at the knees. Some of these rocks are between 30 and 40 kilos. So as I say, it doesn't take too long before you start to wane and your energy levels plummet. Well, this is day 2 in dismantling this colossal perimeter wall, and boy, did I have some aches and pains this morning after hauling these huge rocks around all day yesterday. But the sun is shining today and the show must go on, as they say. I'm hoping to get this wall down in the next couple of days because Joseph and his little mini digger is coming to take away all of this debris and much of the debris that has fallen in the tumbled down house. So the clock is ticking. It's a long stone that went all the way through the wall to bridge those surrounding stones, but there it is with that wonderful little hole. And I made a promise to myself this will feature in this new wall. You can see where they have used these longer bonding stones to tie the surrounding rocks together, just as they do in modern brick walls. So it seems we have learned much from our predecessors. This is one of the more critical walls. You can see there was a huge bulge in this side where that soil inside has become saturated and has started to expand. So this is in danger of collapse and will have to be dismantled extremely carefully indeed. There is so much weight in these walls. Well, I've managed to remove the inner skin of this bulging wall just with my bare hands and this little rock hammer, which goes to show just how loose these stones are. And although this wall has stood for many decades, I do believe we got to it just in the nick of time. So today is another exciting day here at the project. My very good friend Joseph has returned with his wonderful little bobcat digger to take away all of the debris from the main house. 70 years of accumulated debris moved from this house in maybe a day or two. Joseph really is a master with this little bobcat. The level of dirt and debris that has accumulated within this tumble down house over the past 50, 60, 70 years really is quite staggering. There is 1 metre to 1.5 metres in places of solid earth and stone. But Joseph and his little bobcat, he is a genius. I keep saying, I know that I keep banging on about Joseph, but this tiny space he has to work with, and he works with such precision. He will have this little area cleared hopefully in a day or two. But he has taken away some 30 tonnes in a lorry just a moment ago. But I would imagine there is twice that amount still remaining. We estimate that so far we have salvaged around 60 tonnes of this beautiful sandstone, which will go a long way in future projects. Well, good morning and welcome once again to Western Cyprus. Yesterday was an extremely productive day. Joseph came in with his little bobcat digger and removed between 60 and 70 tonnes of debris from this tumbled down house. You can see here the extent of decades upon decades of accumulated debris. It was 1.5 metres up this beautiful stone wall. And as I say, it took Joseph all day, backwards and forwards with his digger. This little pile here I've dug out myself this morning. But it was while Joseph was excavating we made the most wonderful discovery. The original stone fireplace that was completely covered in, as I say, decades of rubbish, soil, metal, roots, plastic. Everything had fallen down inside this house. But this fireplace remains partially intact, this beautiful arched stone here. Yes, okay, we have to rebuild the chimney, but I can only imagine how many years people sat around this fire, laughing, telling stories maybe. Well, this morning's task is to clear the debris from inside that wonderful fireplace. Possibly the chimney has fallen down, and I will clear this all out and we can see it in its entirety. I'm so looking forward to sitting around a roaring fire of my own one day. And there it is, a fireplace that hasn't seen the light of day in 6 or 7 decades, all ready for restoration. But we have so much work to do before that will happen. But I'm so happy.